Hey everybody, Chef Jonathan here. Today we're going to be talking about risotto. Things I love about risotto: it's delicious, it's creamy, there's some real technical skills that you're going to use here, and most importantly, there are some keys that we want to talk about. Homemade stock. You can control the ingredients that you put in it. Most importantly, you can control the amount of salt that's in it. Be organized. So you'll see me, I've got a bunch of ramekins here that have got my ingredients in them. I've got some bowls that I've got my ingredients in. This is crucial. The other thing is fresh ingredients. So these herbs right out of my garden. Fresh onions, fresh mushrooms. That's the way to go. And lastly, and most importantly, be patient. This is a process that's going to take you at least 20 to 30 minutes. So definitely don't try and rush it. You will spoil it. All right? First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some important steps about making stock. Then what we're going to do is we're going to make some risotto. We're going to have some fun. So let's talk about stock. First things to remember: flavor, flavor, and more flavor. The way you're going to generate that flavor is through, first of all, your mirepoix, your trinity of vegetables that you're going to add. They're going to give you that depth: carrots, onions, and celery. Secondly is the additional ingredients that you're going to add. For me, when we're doing this risotto, it's going to be chicken carcass that's been roasted, and also it's going to be mushrooms. Those two flavors are going to be fantastic with this risotto. Third is cold water to start. If you add hot water to start, what you're doing is you're adding a bunch of tastes that have been in the bottom of your hot water tank. You don't know how long you've had that hot water tank, and there could be things like rust and that sort of thing that are going to really impact the flavor. And the fourth thing is, do not boil. Don't boil your stock, because what's going to happen is all these fats and things like that are going to muddy together with any impurities that are going to be in your stock, and that's just going to make it not have a great flavor. So let's have a look at the stock that we've got going right now. So there's some beautiful chicken bones, there's our mushrooms, there's our mirepoix, and what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to add some parsley and some thyme that I just pulled out of the garden. So that's going to be great. And what I've been doing as well is skimming. So there's going to be some scum that's going to come off the top of your stock, and you just want to make sure you skim a little bit of that off. Don't skim all the fat off. Fat is what's going to add your flavor as it's going through its process here. But the scum is going to be some of the toxins, maybe some of the dirt, and some things like that that are going to come off, and they're not going to add great flavor, so you can just easily take those off. So all you're going to do is just quickly just run over here. This is actually pretty clean, so there's not going to be too much in there, and then you're just going to take that off. Okay, so let's have a look and see what we're going to be putting in this wonderful risotto. So we've got olive oil that we're going to use, and in that olive oil we're going to saute our nicely chopped onions. We're also going to have our risotto rice, which is an arborio rice, which is it's got a beautiful starchiness on the outside, and that's really going to give you the creaminess without actually having to add cream to your dish. We're going to deglaze with a really nice white, and then as we're going to finish, we've got our mushrooms that we're going to finish with. We've got Parmesan cheese, and then a little bit of butter just to give it some depth of flavor. The other thing I want to show you is our stock. Look at this beautiful golden stock. Okay, so now what we've done is I've got my pan on a little bit. It's on medium heat. I'm going to put some of my olive oil in there. And then I'm going to add my onions. And then I'm just going to saute these onions. And probably a little bit more oil. There we go. And a nice saute on these onions. I've got my stock. I'm keeping my stock nice and warm. Give my onions a stir. Then what I'm going to want to do is, once my onions are sauteed, I'm going to get my rice, and I'm going to toast my rice. And toasting the rice is really important, because what that's going to do is it's going to give you another layer of flavor. So I'm going to take my rice, I'm going to put it in, and then I'm going to toast that off, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let that sit just for a little while, and I'll come back once it's toasted. Okay, so what you can see here is you can see there's some nice brown toasty bits on the rice. That's fantastic. I've got my stock, I've got everything else organized that I need. The one thing that you should do right now, add a little bit of salt. Always good to add your salt while you're actually doing your sauteing rather than actually when you have your liquid. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to deglaze with my wine. And what deglazing does is it actually takes any of the nice caramelized brown that has stuck to the pan and releases it. So you want to turn down your heat a little bit. You're going to add a little bit of your wine and it's finished steaming. So what that deglazing is doing is it's also burning off any of the alcohol. So you're just going to end up with some of the great flavor, but not end up with a super alcohol flavor. Then what you're going to start to do is you're going to start to grab some of your stock, and you're going to add a stock a ladle full at a time. Give that a stir, and you're just going to let it sit. One of the things that I think that works best is you just shake, make sure it's nice and flat. Once your stock starts to cook off, you're just going to add some more stock. So this is getting a little dry. Just give that a little stir, add a little bit more stock, give that a stir. Make sure that all your rice is off the edges. Give that a shake, and then just let it sit. You could turn your heat down just a little bit at this point, and then what you're going to do is you're starting to look around the edges. You see the edges there? They're starting to bubble a little bit, and then you're just going to let that cook for a little bit. You can add a little bit more stock again. There you go. And then you're going to let it go. So the process here we're going to do is every time it gets dry, then we're going to add a little bit more stock, give it a stir, give it a shake. I'm going to come back in the last 5 minutes or so, and I'll show you how to finish this off both for flavoring and for look. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, so here we are, we're about 15 minutes into the process, and what you'll start to notice is when you look at the rice, it's looking a little bit more translucent. It's not as white. If you were to take a bite of it, which I'm just about to do, you'd notice that there's probably still of what it's called to the tooth, and what that means is that there's still some hardness in the middle. I'm just going to take a taste for two things. One, make sure I got enough salt, and two, to make sure how crunchy or how chewy it is. So when I bite it, it sticks a little bit to the back of my molar. So it's probably at least 5 minutes away. But what I am going to do is I'm going to add my mushrooms, and I'm going to add some more stock. Got a couple of ladles full of stock. Give that guy a stir. Again, still making sure that I keep all the rice off the edges, because you want to make sure that your rice all cooks evenly. Give that a stir. And then remember the trick, give it a shake. Okay. And then I'm just going to let that go for about another 2 or 3 minutes. Then I'm going to come back and we'll do our final finishing. Okay, so this guy's pretty close to being done. What I'm going to do now is there's a little bit of liquid still in here, and I'm going to show you in a sec how much starch is actually coming off this rice. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to add some cheese. I'm going to add some butter, and I'm going to add some pepper. I'm going to give that a stir, and you'll get a chance to see in a second how creamy this thing is. So let me just give it a really quick stir here. It's a little dry. I'm going to add a little bit of stock. That's totally fine at this point. Add a little bit of stock in there. Some people like their risotto dry. Some people like it a little wetter. I'm going to do it sort of in between. This is going to be something that if you let it sit for a little while, it would actually thicken up, but it's going to seem quite wet now. So look at how creamy that is. So look at in there, Look at how creamy that is. Okay, so here's our gorgeous risotto right at the end. I've just finished it off with a little bit of parsley. And what you're gonna see is it's incredibly luscious and delicious, and I really can't wait. I'm just gonna grab a spoon and I'm gonna dig right in. You should notice that it should still be a little bit firm. It's gonna be not crunchy, but it's going to be a little bit chewy, and that's what you want. It's called to the tooth, and it's the best way to eat risotto. All right, we're back. So let's just talk about a few of the key things to remember. Fresh ingredients, and that includes making your own stock. Be patient. That process took me 25 minutes in order to get a fantastic risotto at the end. And the other most important key is do not let your risotto stick to the bottom of the pan. It will scorch and it will affect the flavor. Enjoy yourself. This is a fantastic process. I consider it almost Zen-like because you need to focus on it, but you don't need to concentrate on it. You always need to be aware that it's going on. It always needs your attention, but you can think about all the great things that happen to you over the course of the day. You can think about what you're going to do with the rest of your dishes, anything like that. Just don't take it for granted. All right, everybody, have a fantastic day. And the next time we see you, we'll probably do something like, I don't know, maybe a rack of lamb, or maybe we'll do some crepes. See you soon. Bye-bye.